Which is like a monthly screening series that we hold here at the Thornbury Picture House devoted to Australian independent filmmaking, and we sort of screen a combination of retrospective and newer titles. This screening is really special because it's a really great recent Filipino-Australian film called Anak. Beautiful film, which was actually quite a hit and one of the discoveries of the Melbourne Film Festival last year. Hasn't screened super widely since then, so we're really pleased to be able to screen it. Caleb Ribates, the director, is here. Our producer friend CJ Welsh is also here. He's going to be running. He's working with Caleb on his second feature, so they're going to be running the Q&A. And Tavis Pinnington, who's the cinematographer who just flew in this evening, he's also going to be part of the Q&A after the screen. So please stick around. The Q&A will last maybe 20-25 minutes, and we'll proceed directly after the film's finished. So thank you. Woo.
Oh, wow. Well, I think we can start with another round of applause for what was a pretty amazing film there. Well done, Gary. Thank you. Well done, Tavis.
Thank you.
So I'm CJ Welsh. You would have seen me in the special thanks. Thank you, Caleb. I'm not sure. That's lovely to see that in there.
Oh, that's cool, man.
Cheers. I was previously the screen production coordinator at VCA, and it was also wonderful to see so many VCA alum in the credits there. That was really cool. So I've met Caleb through that, and we are working on a couple of projects together. So this is Caleb Ribates, the writer, director, editor, general creative genius behind the film that we've just seen. And we are also joined by Tavis Pinnington, who was the DOP on that wonderful movie. So thank you both for being here to answer some questions.
It's my pleasure, man.
Alrighty, please excuse me using my phone. I'm not fancy enough to have an iPad to have my questions written down. One thing I want to open with, beyond just how very cool it was, at the very beginning and at the very end there's a little thing about Lost Child's Wanderings. Caleb, please explain, what is Lost Child's Wanderings?
So the Lost Child's Wanderings is a little collection that I began after film school. And it's based on the idea that whatever I'm going to make in my youth or at my age at the moment should be preserved in terms of the ideologies that comes within it, but at the same time, the stage where I'm at my craft. And I really think that whilst having retrospectives of your youth and you know how you come of age with older filmmakers, I think it's quite different and quite special if you capture that essence when you're within your youth. So I made it a mission of mine to create a collection which goes around different types of thoughts I've had growing up, right, you know, before I pass on into my
Till you join us in relative middle age. Yeah, sure,
yeah.
Sure. I will say, I mean, it's really interesting for me, you know, I'm not a father, but I was a child once. And I weirdly relate to both the kid and the dad in that movie, despite not being Filipino in any way. So you've really like touched on some quite universal themes there, despite it being kind of culturally relevant. If I may, you do seem to be exploring some of the Filipino-Australian experience there. How has your background and personal experiences kind of influenced that portrayal in this film?
I think with all my films, there's always a part of me, you know, within my filmmaking and my stories. But what I think when making films, there's a lot of you know, people fighting for representation and fighting for an experience to be represented on the screen. But I, in my opinion, whilst I believe all the values that come within that, it doesn't lack, but I feel like to portray a realistic experience is not really about pushing an agenda or really spotlighting a certain issue within the socio and racial landscape, you know, and in our case, the Filipino landscape, but really about spotlighting just a normal experience, suggesting what other cultural connotations that come within the experience. So it's not very spotlighted, it just comes along with it. And I think it's really important in my filmmaking that that's explored, because before culture, before identity, before, you know, there's always just, there's a person before all of that. And then all these other things come along.
Yeah, interesting. I guess I'm going to preempt a sort of an obvious question here. This really is for you, Tavis, but as director of photography, there's obviously a pretty clear visual language happening in this film, the choice to do it in black and white, the types of camera angles and things. How did you come about that, and was that really collaborative with Caleb, or is that a lot of your fingerprint in there?
It was written in the script.
Easy answer. Yeah, excellent. All right.
No, it was. This is probably off topic. Is it? Anyone seen 1917 by Sam Mendes?
Yeah.
Quite a few film nerds in the
So
audience,
the first page actually has the films in one shot, and I knew that, and when I read for the first time Anak, it was written at the top of the page, and I was like, oh, first time I've seen visuals on a script like that. And then I read it, and I was like, this suits the film, the writing and the themes and everything. The black and white and the one shot per scene kind of, it was, made for this film. I won't go too much into like a budget of it, but we explored that idea, and I was really supportive of that idea, and I'm really actually glad that I did a black and white film for my first feature, because it really honed in for my composition skills. But yeah. Sorry, I'm really nervous.
No, that's a really good point. It's a very specific kettle of fish to be looking at doing a film in black and white, as opposed to having a film and deciding you're gonna edit it in black and white. This was clearly like from the get-go, you guys kind of knew what you were putting together there.
Yeah, there's a whole pre-production process behind it. It's every film that I've done, short narrative-wise, my commercial work is so different, but narrative-wise has been so different, and even the film that Caleb and I did after Anak was totally different to what we did with this film. I kind of believe in a metamorphosis where as a cinematographer as well, I believe that you're at the mercy of the script, and as cinematographer, personally, I don't know how many cinematographers are in here, but you kind of have to bend at the script and the story. And the film that we did after this was totally different. It was a totally different process. We wanted to explore something else, but that's a whole another film. But this film, it was, one shot per scene, black and white. There was also another rule. What was it? It was about time? Time was, I can't remember, sorry.
Wasn't that important of a
rule? No cutting, okay. Yeah. But honestly, the way that we did and probably don't have enough time. I don't have enough time going into it, but our pre-production process was a lot of storyboard and talking about how we wanted the film to play out, and I kind of saw it as you start on the wides, and then the further you go into the film, you end up in close-up. Yeah. I originally I actually wanted to go like a mono. It was obviously black and white, but bright to dark, then to bright again. But we chopped and changed and stuff. But yeah, it was a really interesting process to do.
Sounds like it.
Yeah.
Well, that's kind of a neat little segue then, I guess, to another one I'm going to preempt, which you often hear at these Q&As. We'll start with Caleb. Can you share any challenges that you might have faced, or is there one specific thing that kind of shaped the way you made this film as you were making it?
I think it was really the main hurdle was sticking with the methodology. One thing that I'm really focused on when making film is that, like as Tavis said, every project has its own language, and every project is trying to reach for a different type of energy and immersion. And when I'm making these films, and when we're making Anak, we we have these set structures that you as filmmakers, knowing what you've made in the past, is really easy for you to go to the other way and go to what you know. And this project, like the structures and the rules that I made for the project, was because it was one of my weaknesses as a filmmaker. And to me, to really deepen the craft and to really challenge myself as an artist, as a filmmaker, is to just face it head on. And I knew I wanted to just, you know, go by these rules. If I go out of these rules, then I'm a bit scared, but I'm not a scared guy. So.
You're kind of forcing yourself out of your comfort zone there by definition of what you're trying to do.
Oh yeah, 100%. And I think that's the only way you can improve, not only as a creative, but as a person.
Yeah, I like that. It kind of goes against, you often hear, I'm sure I'm guilty of having said this to students before, you know, play to your strengths. I know, for example, I'm not a great screenwriter, so I tend to avoid doing any writing, but maybe I should rethink that. Maybe I'd end up with something quite impressive if I, you know...
I remember one of the first Q&As, there was I had a person who was questioning me saying, oh, so like, are you like, you know, is your whole glossary like just a slow cinema? I'm like, no, man. I think when you limit yourself into a certain type of aesthetic or a certain type of process, you limit yourself of what you can become. And it's really important that you go into projects thinking that you may become another filmmaker within this project, but that doesn't limit you within your identity. And it's always about pushing more and pushing further than what you are.
You could even say that is your identity. Yeah, wow.
I guess.
We're not going to define anything tonight. Actually, that's not a bad little segue there. I am going to open it up to questions from the audience, but I want to make sure I use this opportunity to get a nice little plug in for something that Caleb and I are working on. Caleb and Tavis is working on this as well. Please do tell us, what does your next project entail?
So, well, we're really reaching for our next feature, but we're taking a baby step and doing another short. But this story, as you know, is really about an alternate universe based from my mom and from my auntie to a place in this small town in the Philippines about two teenagers really trying to discover who they are as a person, not as a Filipino person or a person living in such conflicting landscapes, but who they are at their core, who they are, what they want in this life, and how will they conceive that. And you know, it's gonna be a beautiful thing. I think I'm so excited for this project, and I can't wait to really make it.
That's very exciting to hear. And Tavis, you're going to be DOPing on that one as well. Are there any kind of, I guess, unique visual thematics or things that you plan to bring to it? Anything we should be watching out for?
I have no idea. I feel like as an artist and as a DP and stuff, I really believe in changing with everything. Like we did, Anak was a totally different project for me. Like I feel really bad because all this film and minus another short I did, I was like a cowboy in a paddock. Like the scene where we were running around with the family with, that was like not scripted. Sorry. Okay.
Oh no!
I'm pretty sure that's allowed. That's
I hate the script.
Yeah.
I hate the script.
That wasn't scripted, and Caleb called me 2 days before, and he's like, "Hey, bro, I got this crazy idea." He's like, "I just chase them in the field, just do whatever," and it was like going back to you know when I first started shooting and stuff. So it was nice, but this film really taught me restraint, and it was like, okay, how do we tell the story with one frame as opposed to, you know, normal coverage and stuff. So and then the next film we did, Luscri, which is after this film, totally different. And the next, Caleb and I are about to go to the Philippines actually and do some scouting and research for the next feature, but we've got another thing that we want to try and do over there, which I'm really excited about. But who knows? I like to shoot narrative like documentary. And Anak was totally different like that, but we storyboarded most of Anak, I'm pretty sure. But I don't know, like metamorphosis, I guess. Like I don't know, I kind of like changing it up a lot. Maybe the next film's all on sticks with coverage, and maybe who knows? Like I kind of like to leave things open a little bit. I know it makes a lot of people nervous when I say, I like to shoot.
As a producer, I'm a little bit
yeah, I know.
We're
I'm
doing
so
that
sorry.
together, right? There's definitely going to be some storyboards and coverage, right?
Yeah,
Just checking.
yeah. I mean, like, I don't know. I'm really flexible with me personally. I'm very flexible with my directors. I've worked with directors that love to storyboard. And they marry the storyboards and we go ahead with it, and then there's times where we were just like, well, we're actually ahead of time, why don't we just play a little bit?
I've never heard of that happening.
I know. No, it's very rare, but yeah, I don't know, but yeah, this, and to go back on the challenges of this film, it taught me a lot on how to do things with less. And I did a film recently with the director and producer who are in the audience at the moment, and I don't know how I could have done that film without doing something like this, because there's a part of me, I believe, in that script that I approached it in a way that was kind of like this, and yeah. I guess I just can get away with a lot for less.
I mean, you guys pulled it off, because it's a quite profound film, and honestly, if you hadn't said something, I don't know that I would have guessed it was done in that way. I would assume that's been carefully finessed into being with way too much coverage to get the exact things you need. So it's quite impressive what you've pulled off, given that. Is there a highlight, maybe, rather than a challenge, something that you really enjoyed or that you really loved in making this film?
It was really working with my actors. Like I'm an actor's director. I like to sing, and it was a great pleasure to working with a boy over there, Gabe, and and Lama, especially since with our type of filmmaking. There is no story without these characters, but what I really mean is that without the cast, because whilst we're working in a fictional realm, I think the process really allows access of how our real lives and interplaying into the fictional lives. Hence why I don't really, like to categorize things and just leave things, for what it could be.
No, I think it works really well. Tavis, did you have anything that stood out as like your favourite moment from making the film?
I've got two, if I can talk about them.
By all means.
One was in pre-production when I actually first met Caleb. It was during lockdown, and I was, like everyone in lockdown, pretty directionless. And I just happened, I'll keep it PG, I just happened to check Facebook and refresh the Facebook button, and Caleb's ad for a DP popped up, and I just applied for it. And then I actually met him on Zoom, and he had this passion that was like I had not found in anybody ever. And he was like, "I'm gonna make this film," and I was like, "Fuck yeah!" I was like, "Yeah," but I read the script. And there was just so much of himself on the page, and so much of I was very kind of blessed to live in a very supportive household, but I read the script and I was like, this is something I've been dying to get my hands into. And so I was like, I have to support Caleb in whatever means necessary, whether it's I shoot this film without any artificial light. If I shoot it natural, then fuck it, then whatever, I just go for it. That was one of them, the passion.
The passion is infectious.
Yeah, and I say that to so many people. I taught a workshop in January this year, and I just said to the students, I was like, passion is infectious. Like, if someone comes to you and they really believe, and you believe in that script too, you will go very far and invest in your personal projects or your passion projects, because they really, you know, they keep like a fire lit inside of you, which is good. And I saw that in Caleb. So that that was one. And then the other one was actually being there on the set, because we just got out of lockdown, and it was just a blessing to be on set again. We spent like a month in pre-production, and then there were some locations I didn't even get to scout, just because we couldn't, because of the whole COVID thing. So I was really blessed to just be there, and I had my best friend Audrey, who gaffed the film, and we have a long history together of working together. And I said to him, like, years ago, I was like, I'd love to I'd love you to gaff my first feature. And then it just so happened that she was available, and she came to do it for very little money. So
there's that passion again. It's got to be.
Yeah. It was,
you have to have the passion.
Yeah. She read the script, and Audrey's philo as well. So we got her for that, and she's like, man, this script's something. And I was like, yeah, it's pretty good. But yeah, it was a lot of passion on set, and everyone just really wanted to be there and make the film and make Caleb's vision a possibility. So yeah, there's many other things, but yeah, they were the two that stuck out for me personally.
Amazing. Do we have any questions from the audience?
Yep.
Front there?
Yeah, could you explain the title for me, Caleb, please?
Sure. Anak just means it's a translation of child, son, or daughter. And basically, whilst it's a father and son story, and the real conflict is just with the perspective of the child. That's where the real conflict is.
Nice. There's one at the back there, yep. Maybe grabbing a microphone? Can't tell.
Oh, I thought you walked out of the building.
Potentially?
Yeah.
I guess me.
Yeah, go Yanni. Yep.
Congrats again, guys, on the debut feature. It's amazing. Yeah, I'm just intrigued, Caleb, to hear a bit more about sort of your process, even preparing the actors for the shoot. Was there much of a rehearsal period? And did you find the script sort of changed much in working with the actors and developing the scenes?
Of course. I go by a rule, which is fuck the screenplay, because I hate the screenplay. I really do. For me, workshopping with my actors is key. My whole process, for every different in terms of every head of department, is quite different from project to project. But in terms of actors, it's really about the workshop. And the process is to find.
Too excited there, Caleb. Hang on.
Is to find the process. And it's really, you have got to adapt to every actor and their experience and capabilities and what they're willing to put in the story. And you do that by gaining, my process begins about just hanging out, just gaining trust, and to perceive, what they want from this project and what they can bring to this project. Months and months of rehearsal with every project of mine. I think that's key. It's key, and it's not even about rehearsing the script. It's about rehearsing this character and about experiencing or perceiving what this character perceives in their realms. And when you get to that level where we all understand and the energy of what this story is about, you're free to do whatever. I'm not a director who'd be like, oh, this certain word should be said like this, or this action should be said like this. I really believe the authenticity and the realism comes within the actors and the space. It's their relation with the space, and if I can help identify that space and identify them bridging into that space, then it works. That this was a stepping stone, and the next film even proved my hypothesis that space and that relationship with the actors is key.
Hell of a stepping stone. Any other questions from the audience? Up the back there, yes.
Just in the classroom scene, it's quite interesting. All the kids are called boys, even though some of them, to me, look like girls. So is there any significance behind this sort of weird setup? And
There were. Yeah, I see the confusion, but I think you're talking about the character named Tavis. He was a boy. Yeah.
Just lost
his
it.
long hair. Yeah, like I wanted to emphasize that the key players in those scenes was really about these little boys, how they interplay with their masculinity through their priors, namely their fathers, and how I would perceive them talking and teaching their kids. So they're really just a mini reflection of their formers.
Yeah. Anything else? Oh yeah, up the back there.
I couldn't help but notice that food was a common thread along with a lot of the main scenes. Was that intentional in that?
Of course, yeah. Like I think, for me, not that I want to highlight the food, like this is the food, but in the realm, the realm that I'm trying to reach of this realistic, reality that we're living in, it's important to recognize the stupid things such as eating, and not that it's stupid, but that it's a part of our daily routine and it's a part of our lives, and that such interaction on that dining table can mean so many different things in so many different contexts. And whilst the food wasn't particularly spotlighted, the act of eating with each other, act of being with one another, the act of being next to one another, and the act of seeing one another is something so special that we all have different types of that special relationship within our own lives. And I think that's why I'm so obsessed with dining, with eating scenes. It's just, it feels real, and you can just find so many subtexts. Like you can just play around and do anything, and it will find a realism. Like seriously.
I actually have something to say about the food scenes too. For me personally, it's not really written in the script, but the whole food thing is huge for me, because I really love food, and it goes for, it is in this film, but the film we did after this was key. It was the food, but it's Anthony Bourdain, he did Parts Unknown, and I don't really know if anyone really likes him or not, but food and sitting down, and food is like an act of service as well, an act of love as well. So I don't know, the food scenes to me, was really key for me as well. I was I don't really know how to say it without being cheesy, but
be cheesy. I feel that. Yeah.
But it's just, it's important. Food is culture. That's I don't know. I grew up. My mum's half Filo and my dad's a white dude, and I grew up on some dog shit food from my dad. But my mum, no one can cook better than my mum. And everybody knows that, wherever you're from in the world or wherever your family's from, that person can cook some food. That's culture, that's identity, and
I feel like the inverse of that is true. That scene where he gets the pizza delivered, that hit me right in my soul.
Yeah.
I've been that kid.
Yeah.
Whoa, but it's what else can you do? The dad's trying, he's doing his best. And I think it's a beautiful multicultural moment. Italian food delivered by an Aussie white kid.
Exactly.
To a philo boy on his own.
An etched as well.
There's something going on there. There's a deeper meaning to that scene.
Yeah, and pepperoni pizza is my favourite pizza, just FYI. So,
that's correct. That's the correct opinion.
I can dive deep into Asian food, but I will fuck up a pepperoni pizza if I have to.
I think we've got time for one more from the audience. Anybody? If not, I can fill the space. But if there's one more, we'd love to get it from the audience. No? All right, I'm going to give you a real difficult one then. This is different, to say the least, to what we would normally be seeing in Australian cinema landscape today in terms of our feature films coming out in the cinemas. You've heard me talk about this ad nauseum as a producer, but Caleb, do you think that these type of stories have a place in the current cinematic landscape?
Oh yeah, 100%. 100%. I'm going to be honest, I'm not too well versed with our cinema, but if it's going to be, adjacent to contemporary cinema as a whole, I think we should stop playing safe. I'm not just talking about Australian cinema, but, I feel like there's a big push on direct storytelling and a traditional revelation of characters, revelation of character and arcs in storytelling. But you know, for thousands of years, different types of storytelling has existed, and there's no reason why that type of storytelling shouldn't have a place in the landscape. And for me, you know, directive storytelling is great, but there's also something you can learn about in a different way, in different ways of how story is told. And for me, it's the realm of suggestive storytelling. And for me, it's all about suggestion rather than direct push on ideas and story. And I definitely think, you know, there's so much space, and there should be a push for that space, because, you know, if we all watch the same fucking traditional act structure, then our minds will think no other. And that's not how life works. You know, everyone has different paths and different cycles and different experiences. And so our cinema should reflect that human condition, not in the sense that we are all characters developing our own arcs, but in the sense that we are all existing in different ways, and that existence should be represented.
Ooh, heavy. I like it. All right, well, let's do one more final round of applause for that fabulous sentiment in that movie. All right, thanks everybody.
Thanks for coming, everyone. Appreciate it.